Hi, I'm Sal Mercogliano, Associate Professor of History at Campbell University, a former merchant mariner and an instructor in maritime industry policy at the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. And this is the update to the story concerning the motor vessel President Eisenhower, which right now is adrift off the coast of Southern California, heading toward the beach there by El Capitan State Park. So this is the story that was published in, let's pull it up here. There we go. This is the story. Oh, I had the wrong story. Here we go. This is in G Captain. Mike Schuller over at G Captain has talked with the U.S. Coast Guard regarding this matter and the issue. And let me report to what he's been able to find out and what's going on. So President Eisenhower right now is adrift. She reported a fire on board at 3 a.m. her time coming out of California. She was heading out of Los Angeles, heading up to San Francisco as part of a route, which I'll show you. They reported an engine room fire. Engine room fires on board ships are absolutely deadly, if not critical to the well-being of a vessel. Now, a couple of things. These vessels are minimally crewed. They usually have crews of about 24 to 30 people on board. Every merchant mariner goes to firefighting school, so they learn how to become firefighters. There's no time to wait for the local fire department to show up. You've got to fight the fire on board. So all merchant mariners are certified in firefighting. It doesn't mean they're good firefighters. It means that they have gotten training, they've gone through the motions, but dealing with a fire the first time, an uncontrolled fire, is a whole other issue. Now, fire in the engine room is, of course, really important. You've got fuel oil, you have machinery and everything, and there's a couple of things you can do. You can fight a fire the old-fashioned way, going in, donning your firefighting gear, oxygen mask, SCBAs, self-contained breathing apparatuses, going in with your 2.5 and 1.75 hoses and fighting it. Or you could do a couple of things. Number one, cut off the fuel. Usually it's a fuel leak of some kind that could have caused the engine room fire. We don't know yet. Cut the fuel off. You still have heat to deal with. You still have spilled burnt fuel to deal with or spent fuel to deal with. Put it out. And in the extreme, you can usually flood compartments with CO2, knock the oxygen out, break the fire tetrahedron. You've got, 3 sides of a triangle. You've got fuel, you've got heat, and you've got oxygen. And if you can break that tetrahedron, break the pyramid, then all of a sudden you knock the fire out. CO2 comes in, it displaces the oxygen, breaks the connection, prevent the fire from happening. We don't know what's happened on board, but we do know that the vessel stopped while she was en route. Let me give you some background here on the vessel. This is the President Eisenhower here. She is a vessel. I'll pull up the data on this. I had this in my initial video, but we'll go into a little more detail here. She was built in 2005, 16 years old. She's sailing under the U.S. flag. She operates for APL, which is a subsidiary of CMA, used to be the old American President line. 7,455 TEU capacity, 300 meters. That's almost 900 feet, roughly right there. Let's pull up some images of her here. She's a former Hanjin Marine vessel. Hanjin Marine was the 7th largest container operator in the world, the Hanjin Dallas. Specifically, she was. She was the Hanjin Dallas, but then Hanjin Marine went bankrupt, and now she is part of the APL fleet. That's her in their Hanjin livery right there. See her right there as the Hanjin Dallas right there. Let's see if we can go back here now. Let's see where she's at right now. This is her right here. She is off the coast right here. This is updated a minute ago. Let's pull her track up. So right now she is heading, let's pull this over here. She's heading at a speed of 1.2 knots at 60, heading of 063. So that's heading this way, roughly right here, heading almost toward Naples, right there. And there's a couple of issues at play here. You'll notice her status is not under command, which is really important. Let's go up here to her pass track here. Let's pull up her pass track. I showed this on the last video. That shows you her track out of Long Beach, heading up the channel right here. She slowed down up here. We're not exactly sure why. May have been to drop somebody off or do a drop off. I'm not sure if he required pilotage in this area of Southern California. Somebody knows. If they want to add in the comments, that'd be great. She slowed down, then sped up here to 20 knots. And I'll show you the replay here. But then you'll see right here is where she just kind of stopped. Came to a stop right there, sudden stop right there. And then she's been drifting, and she's been drifting northward. And now she's heading northeast. She's heading northeast. You'll see the way she's drifting right there. And that has to do with this. There's a wind advisory in effect off the coast of Santa Barbara. Wind advisory in effect until 6 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time Thursday. northwest to north wind. So the wind is heading, northwest north, 20, 30 miles with gusts of 50 miles an hour. Winds will diminish later in the morning, but will increase again in the evening. Gusty winds will blow around unsecured objects, make driving difficult. So the ship is obviously into the impact of wind right now, going that way, heading toward the north, but she's also probably in the channel too, getting some current here. So we definitely see her moving along here. And you see her going pushed up here. This area right here, this is the area of Refugio Beach. That's this area right here, this little knob sticking off right here. That's what this beach area looks like, very pristine Southern California beach. Definitely a place you don't want to see a container ship washed up on. We've seen images of that in the history. Morro Castle in the 1930s off Asbury Park. It's not a very nice image to have. So a couple of things to be thinking about. So number one, there's help on the way. This is Teresa Brusco. She's a tug. She's heading that way. She looks like to be a few miles out, heading at 11 knots. She'll be there in under an hour. So that's good. You get a tugboat on her. The question is, she's not a huge tug. So she's going to have to get a line onto the President Eisenhower, and then she can start pulling on her. Better than nothing. If they lost power on board President Eisenhower, that could mean a couple of things. Number one, if they lost all power, if all power was lost, well, a couple of things. Number one, you can still drop your anchor. You don't need power to drop an anchor. Anchors drop by gravity, so you don't need to worry about having power on to drop the anchor. The issue with dropping the anchor here is zoom out here a little bit. Let's clean that up a little bit. There we go. There's Naples right there. This is Marine Ways. This is Marine Ways right here. So here's that little point here we were talking about here, Refugio Beach. Here's Naples up here in this area right here. It should be right there. Let's see here. Yep, Naples right there. So one of the things you see here is the depth. So if we look at marine traffic, there she is. She's just about south there. So you head south about here. She's probably right about here somewhere. Really deep water right here. This is deep water right here. You see the fathom marks right here, 65 fathoms. Fathom is 6 feet of water. So you're talking about 390 feet of water right there. Really deep. You have a limited amount of anchor chain. Usually ships carry between, depending on the ship, 9 to 12 shots of chain. A shot is 90 feet in length. You usually want to drop anchor 3 to 5 times the depth of the water. Believe it or not, your anchor isn't what holds you when you anchor a large vessel. Yeah, the anchor is important, but it's really the anchor and the weight of the chain strung out on the bottom. That's what holds you in place. So you don't want your anchor on the bottom and your chain going up. Your chain has to lie flat on the bottom. And so one of the problems off the coast of Southern California is by the time you anchor, you got to get in fairly close, and then the bottom drops very quickly. California is a mountain range sticking up out of the ocean, basically. So as she drifts off here, again, go back to marine traffic. Here she is. There's Point Rugio. You can see the change in the kind of the visualization there. That's probably right about here. Probably one of the depth lines right there coming in. If she starts heading this way here, she couldn't drop anchor until she gets close in. So obviously something you don't want to do until you get close. You can drop anchor and hope, but again, by the time she drops anchor, that's fairly close in. Let's hope that this vessel coming out here, again, the Teresa Brusco, is enough to go ahead and get her and start pulling her off out into the channel. Hopefully there'll be other tugs heading out that way to get her. We're not sure yet what exactly is going to happen with her. Will she go back into port? Will they tow her back into the port of Los Angeles, for example? Or one of the things I had from somebody in the area mentioned to me was the idea that they may actually, I'm going to speed this up so you can see this a little bit. I did this in an earlier video here so everybody can see it. Let me move this around here so I can see. There we go. Let's move that around. Let's do this at about 60 right there. There we go. So we get that moving right there. We'll slow it down as we get a little closer. There she is coming out of Long Beach, about 11 knots. She slows down here for a little bit. We see her slow down there right off Malibu, then back up here again to 20 knots. And now you see her doing almost 19 knots right there, heading out 20 knots right there. We know that the fire was reported at roughly 3 a.m. their time. They should be about 7 hours ahead there. So we should see the ship slow down here 7 or 8 hours ahead. So right about now is when they should be slowing down here. Whoop. See if I get this going here. So there we go. Nope, she doesn't want to work for me right now. Let's see if we can get her going there. But we'll come back to that and everything play. She'll go right there about 20 knots, and then she's going to slow down there and have it and be able to stop. There we go. Let's reload that again and see if that works now for us. See if she runs there. Anyway, she's going to head on this way. She does not want to cooperate today. There she is, moving along, and all of a sudden goes from 20, 21 knots and comes to a screeching halt. That is a classic engine room fire right there. They've lost power in the plant, or at least had the power drop on the plant, and then you see her start to drift anywhere from a half a knot to 1 knot. She's heading basically northeast, northeast there. You'll see her start drifting there. She starts heading in. So she's been drifting since noon, which is, again, this is Universal Standard Time right there. So they're 7 hours off there. And you see them drifting up into that area right there where she's currently at. Let's see if we can pull this up here a little more. So let's talk about what else is going on with her. So this is the vessel herself. Here's the President Eisenhower. This is from the CMA CGA website. Again, she was built for Hanjin Marine. She was built in Hyundai plant in Korea in 2005. She's classified by the German firm NDV. There's all her stats right there, her size, her draft, and everything. These are in meters right here, so it's about 300 meters with it. Propelled by a diesel 12K 98 MC. Gearless, meaning she doesn't have containers on board. She doesn't have a container crane on board. She's part of the U.S. flag fleet. There's only about 60 vessels operating in international trade that are U.S. flagged. They're all part of this entity right here, what's called the Maritime Security Program. The Maritime Security Program basically is a evolution here. Let me shrink that down a little bit so you can see. There we go. Maritime Security Program was created in the 1990s after the end of what were called differential payments for operations to keep U.S. ships U.S. flagged. It is expensive to crew a vessel with U.S. mariners because U.S. people are used to higher, Americans are used to higher standard of living, and U.S. mariners make more money than most other mariners. It's also higher operating costs, and so ships enrolled in the Maritime Security Program each get a $5 million stipend per year per ship. 60 vessels in this program. It's a $300 million program, but what it supplies is not just 60 vessels, but employment for 60 mariner crews. Also, a lot of these crews will be used to, along with crews in what's called the Jones Act, the coastal fleet, to man ships in the Ready Reserve Force and the Sea Lift Fleet, the Surge Sea Lift Fleet, in case we have a conflict, we need to send goods overseas. Many of these ships were actually instrumental since 2001, 2003, sustaining American forces in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, a very important element. President Eisenhower herself was involved in this route right here. This is the EX1 route by APL. Let me go ahead and bring this up here so you can see it a little better here. Let me see if I can pull it up here. There's there we go. A little better review. There you go. This is the Eagle Express route right here. So one of the things that APL offers is services, rail service with cargo from New York, Chicago, Memphis, Kansas City, Dallas, to the ports of Los Angeles and Oakland. She was heading from LA up to Oakland. She was going to load in Oakland, take her last load of containers on board, and then head across. And then she goes on a run to Yokohama, Japan, Naha, Okinawa, Busan, Korea, Tsingtao, where the tanker was rammed yesterday in the news. We talked about the Shanghai, back through Busan, and then back to LA. So that's basically her round trip right there. And you can see the days involved here when ships transit and how long it takes you to go ahead. So when you leave, let's see, Los Angeles, if you leave on the 18th, which is a Sunday, basically it'll take you all the way through. It's about a 40-day circle right there is what you see. If you start at Qingdao and come down to the end there and start again, it's about a 40-day cycle you go through. And you run through it. Very similar. We see many carriers do this. Ships operate on a set schedule, a set run. President Eisenhower is on this service. And so we see her on that run performing that service. If now she's been damaged, she's going to have to get towed in. That cargo would have to be offloaded. One of the reasons why towing her to Oakland makes sense is because that cargo was being moved up to Oakland anyway for further transit. Instead of going back into LA, Los Angeles, especially LA, Long Beach, excuse me, ports jammed LA, Long Beach, better to go up to Oakland. We'll see. I don't think the tug that's heading to get her right now here, this tug, is going to be able to do it. Let's get up here on Eisenhower. Let's pull up here. Let's see if we can pull up here. Let's end this track. We don't need that anymore. There she is. Let's pull her up here. Had a question about this too. All ships have these AIS transponders on board. These are to assist in identification of ships, but also tracking of vessels. So all ships squawk this. They can actually turn them off if they want to. Not recommended, obviously, especially not for large vessels like this. So here she is. She's still drifting. She seems to be more heading in the current now. Seems to be heading more to, easterly. Oops, went too far there. And that other tug we knew is coming in to come get her right now. So we're going to keep on the story. We'll keep tracking it. I know the guys over at G Captain are tracking it. And again, this is marine traffic right here that we're using. Here she is, the Brusco coming in. You see her heading in right there. Teresa Brusco, not a huge tug by any means. Again, I'm a little leery that this tug is going to be strong enough to provide what is needed here. Maybe they can get the plant back online with President Eisenhower. It depends on the damage done during the fire. We just don't know. We don't have that kind of information from them. So we'll wait and see. See them coming in right here. Let's zoom in here and see where they're at here. That's the Brusco right there. And then we saw there was another ship right here. What is that right there? That actually may still be her. Sometimes you get shadows on these where they broadcast. And so we see her coming in right there. So she should be there fairly soon. Again, you get the scale right here, how far away she is. So we're looking at about probably about 5 miles away. Probably about 5 miles away. So she's doing about 11, 12 knots. So less than 20 minutes, probably about 20 minutes to get there, for her to get there. And then she'll have to pass a line, get a line onto her, and be able to pull her off. And again, President Eisenhower can still anchor. She can still drop her hook. She's got to get in a little bit closer, as I mentioned to you before, because of the deep water here in the channel heading into Los Angeles, Long Beach. It gets shallow close in, but you really don't want to drop the hook that close in, especially if wind is setting you on the beach. You don't want to come ashore right here. That's not good. Not good at all. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the update. We will keep you posted as we get more information. My name is Sal Mercogliano. If you like this channel, you like this type of information and news and update, hit subscribe, give it a thumbs up, hit the bell, and you'll get alerted when this happens again. Unfortunately, in the world of ocean maritime trade, about once a week there are vessels in distress. And usually they about once a month we see a vessel conceivably lost. So it happens a lot. You're talking about 50,000 vessels, over 1,000 gross tons operating in the world's oceans. It's busy out there, and accidents do happen. Well, again, I'm Sal Mercogliano. Thanks for tuning in. Our thoughts go out to the crew on board President Eisenhower. Great job in getting the fire out. Good job in salvaging the vessel and saving the vessel. Outstanding job done there. And again, I think we always got to think about them. First of all, it's good to hear that nobody was injured, nobody was hurt, and there was no loss of pollutants into the ocean. Always a good thing. So again, thanks for tuning in.